Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining us on our live stream on this Monday afternoon. It is actually cooling down a bit here, which is a really nice break. We've had temperatures in the triple digits for the past few weeks. It feels like a cold snap. Today it's around 85. So I'm just basking in the sun of the shade cloth in the Smart Pots container garden here. And wow, do we ever have a fun live stream planned for you today? We've got a special guest, Clayton from Monterey. Is going to be coming on in just a moment to talk all about tomato disease control, which I know can be a huge issue this time of the year, especially with all the crazy heat most of you have had this summer. So a lot of you are talking in the pre-live stream chat here about how you're tired of the heat, your plants are dying, you're pulling them out, and hopefully getting ready to plant for fall. So let's see who is here in the chat. We have Tammy. Welcome, Tammy, from Fremont, California. So glad you're here. Tina D is growing Minnesota midget melons, and there's so many of them. That's awesome. You can't beat those fresh, cold melons on a hot day. Southern Sky Tennessee Garden here every Monday. So glad that you're here. Looking forward to today's tomato tips. Tracy from Ojai, 808 Ladybugs from Hawaii, always joining us, and April from Texas. So stay cool there in Texas. I know in Smart Pots area in OKC, Oklahoma City, they were saying it's 95 degrees today. And Jack is back. So glad you're here, Jack. Taking a little break. He was saying the heat and the drought there in Maryland has really got his garden ready to pull out. So Jack, I'm so glad that you're back today. Esther, Julie, Bruce, so many of us here today enjoying the beautiful weather. And Camera Guy is there in the control room. How you doing, Camera Guy?
Hey everyone, I am actually out here with Kim on the deck today. That way we can just have better visual communication, and we'll see if that makes things run smoother. It's great to see everybody. Love you all. Thank you.
And of course, we always have Cliff and Nisha in the chat, as our moderators in the chat. So we're always so glad that they're here as well. So let's go ahead and bring Clayton on. And I am so excited to introduce Clayton to you all. He's on the Monterey Lawn and Garden team, and he has been in the chat for the past couple of months. And a lot of you have so enjoyed and benefited from all his expertise. So let's bring him on. Clayton, how are you doing? It's so good to have you here today.
I am just so glad it's cool outside. That's all I'm happy for.
It feels great, doesn't it?
It does.
And I know you're up in the mountains, but you still get a lot of heat, right?
Oh my gosh, we have never seen this heat. So I live in between Yosemite and Tahoe, about 3,600 feet, somewhere around there, and we have never gotten over 100 for this long a period of time. So
seriously. Over 100, even at higher elevations. That's been a crazy summer, hasn't it?
It has been.
Well, so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know how busy you are. You travel from Monterey, educating people about pest and disease control and all kinds of interesting things. So tell us a little bit about Monterey Lawn and Garden.
Sure.
And what your role there is. And before you do that, let me just say that I have learned so much from you. It was great to have you visit our garden a couple of months back, and we had so much fun just kind of wandering around. I picked your brain about all the issues that we're having in our garden from time to time, and it was so helpful. So tell us what you are, what your role is at Monterey, and a little bit about Monterey Lawn and Garden.
So Monterey Lawn Garden has been in the business for about 30 years now, 35 years, and our specialty is mostly organics. We handle consumer products across the United States. We have a good team that go out and teach people what to do, how to handle their gardens, and we call on distributors and everything else. I'm the horticulturalist for Monterey and key accounts for Monterey, again, across the United States. People call in with questions. They send in pictures. What is this problems? And I solve it for them.
That's wonderful. And you are exactly the expert that we have appreciated and needed on our live streams over the past couple of months. I know you've already helped a lot of people out here. So thank you so much for taking the time. I know you get lots and lots of questions on emails, but you're always willing to take some time and identify any issues and then provide a solution for us gardeners here to get past that issue that we might be having in our garden. And today our topic is, oh, before we move on, I did forget to mention at the beginning that we're also doing several giveaways today.
Great.
The grand prize for some Monterey products will be at the end, and then interspersed throughout our live stream, we'll be doing giveaways for my fall garden seed collection. So don't go away. You don't want to miss any of the fun. So Clayton, we're talking today particularly about tomatoes. Now,
Yes.
what is it about tomato? Oh, and you've got your tomato plant
I
there right in your
do.
office. That's
Yes.
awesome. Is that like a little microtom or a mini
No, that
tomato?
is a indigo rose tomato.
Wonderful.
And
Well,
it's,
thank you so much for having such a great example to show us. And what is it about tomatoes? This time of the year, they just really seem to be going through some struggles. And I know a lot of our viewers have had some issues with their tomatoes this summer. So what's the deal with tomatoes? Why are they so much of a problem, a joy, but also a problem at sometimes?
well, they've been hybridized a lot. They've been, to the nth degree. Whenever I buy a tomato, I look for something called VFN, which means they're verticillium. They're resistance to verticillium, nematodes, and VFN and Fusarium. So that's very important when you're looking for a tomato. So they're resistant to those diseases. And then they've just been hybridized a lot. But myself, I just love tomatoes. You can see by this one I have here. Now, what
Let's see that.
Yeah, what I do a lot of times I actually and I put diseases on tomatoes. That sounds horrible, but I actually make them get diseases and insects, because then I can try different actives and cure them at the same time. Which one would work better, if that makes any sense? And then that helps us develop better products for you guys out there, for the consumers.
Well, I think that's great, because instead of us getting the diseases, which kind of happen naturally, you're testing it out there behind the scenes and then bringing us the things that will work to take care of them. So I think that's an amazing way to do it. Now, let's talk about diseases. What are some of the most common tomato diseases that gardeners are dealing with, at this time of the year, or just in general? Why don't you kind of name the top 3 or 4?
Sure. So as the plant gets older, the first most important ones are the root rots, because the roots will be the first one to be affected. So every time I put a plant, when I first started off, I always hit it with a complete disease control. I want to get that bacteria around the root system and started protecting the roots against future root rots. But that's the first thing I want to do. And there are 4 or 5 major funguses that can cause it. Rhizoctonia, Fusarium, I can get into it. But we first got to protect the roots. If we protect the roots, we protect the plant.
Now, I have a complete disease control, which we're going to be giving away at the end of the live stream. But on your advice, your expert advice, I've been using this all over my garden this year, just like you said, and we did a video on a couple months ago, but really drenching the roots with this. And I have had, knock on wood, fingers crossed, but very little tomato disease this year. It really, really is doing the trick. So this is one of the products that a lot of our viewers have also started using this year, thanks to you. And we'll be doing a giveaway for that. So what is it about this that helps protect the tomatoes and other plants from these diseases that are so common?
So this is this is fairly new in the industry. We don't use a lot of fungicides now. This is where we're moving to. This was brought in by the ag industry. It's called double nickel. And then we brought this over a couple years ago. And by drenching this around the roots, what this bacteria does, it creates this mantle. And we actually do this about every 3 months to energize it. And as the plant creates sugar through photosynthesis and it moves down through the phloem tissue, there is no cork system at the end of the roots. Things go up, but things have to go down. So depending on the root system, or depending on the plant, anywhere from 2 to 6% of those sugars made through the leaves and stuff is actually distributed out through the roots, because again, there's no cork. And that's what bacteria feeds off of. And then it gives off what we call leptoprotein that kind of kills everything else around it and kind of protects the root system against these other bad bacteria and other fungal, like the Fusarium and Sclerotinia and Rhizoctonia diseases.
Wonderful. So really, this is something that we can use at the beginning of the season to prevent. Now, what about now towards the end? Like I used the complete disease control maybe back in May, maybe some plants in June. What about now? Is it effective
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
reuse
Because
it?
again, we want to energize it every couple months, just to give it that oomph, just to make sure we get that bacteria again re-energized.
Wonderful. And I think, Julie, I just saw your question scroll by. This is a perfect question, Julie. Is it too late to use total control on tomato roots after they have grown to maturity? Would it
Oh
still
no,
protect the
absolutely
plant
not.
from the nasty summer diseases?
Yeah, absolutely
What?
not.
Okay, perfect timing. So, would people go ahead and do like another root drench or spray it on the leaves? How could we use that product right now when we might be getting some diseases on our plants?
Okay, now as a leaf control, it does a great job in killing like the powdery mildew, the downies. Now I broke down leaf diseases into two categories, and we talked about this: the hard and the soft. And the soft would be like your powdery mildew and your downies and rust, and rust are very strange. And we can get rid of those overnight. And I've seen it happen. Well, we spray it on in the evening, and that powdery mildew is gone. Um,
Yes.
then we have the hard diseases and anthracnoses and brown spots and black spots, and they're actually created by a whole bunch of different types of fungus. We got to go a different route with those, but we spray those. We can spray it on those spots, but those spots will still be there. But we kill the disease and we stop it from spreading. That's why I call them a hard
Okay.
disease.
Now, Jerry, if you could please pop up the picture of the Septoria leaf spot, which Clayton helped me
Yeah,
diagnose on my tomato a couple months ago. That's
right.
exactly the issue that I had, Clayton, was I had these spots. I sent you a picture, and you recommended spraying with complete disease control. And would you believe it? The tomato plant right behind me, it was the same plant. It's a banana leaf tomato, or banana legs tomato. It's a really unique tomato. I'll pick one here. It's actually shaped kind of like a banana, I guess, but it has little legs on the bottom. But it turned into a thriving plant. I thought I was going to lose it a couple months back, and I did the complete disease control, pruned off some of the leaves, and the disease didn't spread. So I have to say, I am so grateful to you because we've been enjoying these tomatoes several times a week in our kitchen, and we save the plant. So that's super important. So we've got the leaf spots like that. What about, I think probably the bane of a lot of gardeners is blight. You get your early blight, get your late blight, and Jerry's going to pop some photos on the screen on that too. What's the deal with blight?
So
It's like the nightmare disease, I think.
right, and blight, and you can tell blight because of the yellow halo around them. And that's
Yes.
indicative of it. It's not one type of fungus; it's probably a group of fungus. And so again, we can spray those. And you can either prune off that leaf to stop the spores from spreading, or you can use the complete disease, and also that will also kill it right then and there. But we still have that spot, and that's why I call it heart disease.
Okay, that makes total sense. And then a lot of times at this time in the season, the late blight starts to come in.
Right.
Is there anything we can do about that? I know that's a really tough one. Jerry, you could pop that one up there too.
Yeah, and
The late
that's
blight.
because the leaves are getting
Thanks.
tired, and it's getting
Ah,
old. Yeah, and they're more, yeah, and I'm seeing a lot
yeah.
more and more of that. In fact, I have that myself on here, and a lot of times I actually induce my plant with diseases so I can try different actives and make sure they work before we send them out into the marketplace.
Oh, wow.
So
How in the
that,
world do you do that? That's pretty crazy.
I know. So the
So,
best thing for the
is the
late
late
blight.
blight, is there any hope for that?
Best thing for late blight, because we're in the end of the season, is just to pull off the diseased leaves at that time.
Okay, so we're kind of reaching the tail end. So we hope we get a little bit more out of it, but let's go ahead and prune and get the disease out of the garden, correct?
Correct. Also, they can put
Okay.
spores into the soil and use the
Oh,
complete disease to kill those spores.
okay. So even spraying the soil with complete disease is helpful?
Yeah, because you're not spreading it out and blooming it out.
Okay. Now, something that I think would be super helpful is if you could explain the difference between bacterial, viral, and fungal diseases on our tomato plants.
Perfect. So the main fungal disease would be your viral disease would be your mosaic virus. And unfortunately, that is the one that if you get it throw it away, because you cannot control a virus disease right at this point in time.
Kind of like when we get a virus, we can't control it.
Tobacco mosaic virus, and tobacco is in the same family as tomatoes, and there
Okay.
is no control for a virus disease. It's just one of those things.
And we do have a picture of that, Jerry, too, if you want to pop that up. Tobacco mosaic virus.
Right,
Great.
and there it is.
This was actually our viewer Jan, who's here in the live stream. Picture she sent me a few months ago, and I sent it on to you, and you recommended that she pull the plant and get it off her property so it wouldn't spread to other plants in her garden.
And it's spread by the Homoptera insects, the aphids, whiteflies, mealybugs, and all those. As soon as they take a bite, they'll go to another healthy plant. They'll inject the plant, and that plant will get it. So the best thing to do is get rid of it. So
wonderful. Well, not wonderful, but it's great to identify that so we know exactly what to do to keep it from spreading into the garden there. V, thank you so much for your kind comment. Clayton, there's so many comments of people saying, thank you for helping us in the chat. And V here is saying, Clayton, funny you sacrifice your plants to help us grow plants without disease. Thank you so much for that. So we really appreciate you taking the hit for us there on that one.
No,
okay, so we've got our viral diseases, and then which are no cure for, basically. Right. Just get them off your property, out of your garden. What about our fungal and our bacterial diseases? What are some examples of that, and what can we do?
Right, and so with your bacterial and fungal diseases, your anthracnoses. So you have three different types. You have your brown spots, you have your black spots, then you have your. You see, I talk with my hands a lot. And then you have your anthracnoses. Anthracnoses are more ribbon type. And again, we're talking about your hard diseases. So we can do a couple different things. We can pull off those disease leaves, but I would still recommend spraying them because those spores are there. And I don't care what you do, you can't kill spores. So we can spray those leaves. So as soon as those spores bloom out, what we call bloom out, they'll hit anything and then we'll just kill them. So the other thing is keep the plant healthy. Make sure you fertilize, make sure you give them plenty of sun, and make sure they get adequate water. And the important thing is keep your soil aerated too. If you don't keep your soil aerated, the roots will get root rots. And again, there's 5 different types of fungal activity that will kill the roots as well.
That's a great tip there. And you also shared that with me early in the season in my indoor seedlings. Just to poke like a fork or a little skewer down in there, just to aerate the soil. Yeah. And don't overwater. And it was one big thing that you told me with my indoor seedlings is really the fungus gnats are a sign of overwatering. Make sure you aerate your roots and really pay attention to watering control. And speaking of seeds indoors, we actually did a video over the weekend of starting our fall garden already. I know it sounds crazy, starting some seeds indoors. So we're actually going to do one of our giveaways right now. So we'll interrupt our talk here for just a moment and give you all there that are watching a chance to win my fall garden seed collection. Now, this has been just newly updated. So I just put in 9 different new fun varieties. And believe it or not, fall is coming. It's going to be cooling down. And I know a lot of you are in the weary stage of your garden, but get some of your fall garden seeds started now because it's such a more pleasant time of the year to garden. The weather's going to be cooling down, at least for most of you. Might still be hot here, but you'll have a chance to get these popped out in the garden. If you start now, you can start seeds indoors and then put them outside as the weather cools off. So right now in the chat, put the code or the hashtag tomato, because today's live stream is all about tomatoes, and we'll draw for it in just a moment, and then we'll send you out one of our fall garden seed collections. But don't go away because we're going to be having 3 more giveaways. Actually, 3 more giveaways here in the live stream. Okay, hashtag tomato for a fall garden seed collection. And also there's a sale going on right now too, 30% off all the seed collections and smart pots on our website. So grab those with the code Fall Garden as well if you don't win today. Okay, we've got 26 entries. I think they're, oh wow, up to 33 now. So quickly pop that hashtag in and then we'll get back to our our tomato tips. But some of the fun new varieties are some of the ones that were in our weekend video on what to plant in August, like Cisco broccoli. It's a smaller variety of broccoli, a red acre cabbage, some fun new greens and herbs, and all kinds of cool other vegetables for you to pop out in your garden as the weather cools off. So I know you're going to really enjoy that. Okay, Jerry, we've got 51 entries. We're going to go at 52 now. We're going to go ahead and draw for that in 3, 2, and 1. All right, take it away. 54 entries. If you are the winner, and by the way, this is for U.S. residents only, we'll mail you out the Fall Garden Seed Collection. So just email me. Oh, Bruce Vivers, that's awesome, Bruce. I'm so glad that you're here today and that I'll be sending that your way. I already have your address, so you don't need to mail me. And hopefully it'll be cooling down in your neck of the woods in the fall. I know you have super hot summers there, and you'll be able to grow your fall garden. So thanks so much for all of you who entered, and we'll have another chance to win a Fall Garden Seed Collection in just a moment. So in the meantime, we're going to pop over to Clayton. And let's talk a little bit about, we just talked about kind of some of the common diseases. I think you went over powdery mildew, blight. What about, I know a lot of people deal with blossom end rot. Is that considered a disease? Or how would you classify that? That's a very common issue a lot of us have.
Right. It's a deficiency, and that's calcium deficiency. And I was going to bring up the fact that what we really need to watch is our nutrients as well. And calcium is definitely one of them. And a lot of times people tend to over fertilize, especially nitrogen on tomatoes. We don't want to do that. But we definitely want to add calcium to the soil. Calcium does not move in the soil. So if you give it a nice banding, what we call banding, just around the root system, it's going to stay there for a while. So adding calcium to the soil will enrich the around the tomato, the skin of the tomato, and help stop blossom end rot.
Wonderful. And Jerry, if you could pop that picture up there of blossom end rot. So if you've ever looked at your tomato and it looks absolutely beautiful, you harvest it and then you turn it over and you're like, oh my goodness, what are these ugly brown spots on the bottom? That's what blossom end rot is. That's what Clayton's talking about. We've all had that experience. Now you can still eat the tomato, correct, Clayton?
Yeah,
okay.
Correct. But the thing is, you push a lot of nitrogen when you start getting the blossom end rot at the same time.
Okay.
So, and that will also cause more of the end rot at the same time. Just add more calcium, add iron to the soil. That will enrich the whole fruit at the same time.
Okay, now I know you all have a Dr. Iron product, which is great. I've been using that in my garden all season as well. Do you have a calcium product for us to use?
Pardon me?
What type of calcium should we use in our soil?
Well, most of the calcium will just stay. It's a CaCO2, if I remember the top of my head. And it's just going to stay there in the soil. It doesn't move in the soil, which is really nice. The only nutrient that really moves in the soil is nitrogen. Phosphorus, potassium, it tends to stay there. In farming, they do something called banding, where they'll just put a band of phosphorus and potassium just along the outside of the root system. And that's all they do. Nitrogen, they do have to add. And what I tell people, don't add a lot of nitrogen. I like to stay below a 10. Otherwise, you force too much growth and you don't get a lot of fruit.
Right. Okay. So also the uneven watering can be a issue there with the blossom end rot as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Correct. Yeah, so I know that's super important.
Yeah, because what you do is you push the growth and stop, and push growth and stop, and the plant goes, stop. Don't do that.
Right. Yeah. So really that consistent watering is super important. And Southern Sky Garden is asking here, what's the best product you can suggest for adding calcium besides eggshells? Because I've heard those take a while to break down, even though I'm adding them all the time to my compost.
Well, a lot of fertilizers will have calcium in there. So it's a secondary item. You know, you got nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, then you got calcium, magnesium, and iron. Those are the secondaries. So just look for something with a good calcium as a secondary product.
Okay, so sometimes that will be in the fertilizer already, just look on the back. Okay, wonderful. Now, how about, I know it has been a really tough summer. all across the country, really all over the world. It's been so unusual. The areas that usually get rain, like Maryland, our friend Jack out there in Maryland, is not getting any rain, and we never get rain, but the heat has just been crazy. So how does the weather and the climate affect our garden and more specifically our tomatoes?
Well, it affects it a couple different ways. One, it affects the growth because it dries and grows and dries and grows and dries and it grows and plants. Yeah, we got to stop that. It creates larger internodes between the growth of the plant. It stops the fruiting of the plant. A lot of times you don't get the fullness of the flavor also within the fruit itself. And it just puts a lot of stress in the plant. What that does is create diseases that will allow the disease into plant. And insects, they can actually, come in a circle of plants that are stressed out as well.
I've noticed that too with, I've had my garden covered with shade cloth. I actually got to uncover it for the weeks. It was in the 80s. But just taking the covers off, it's like the plants or the insects went crazy under there. So my job for the evenings this weekend, and we had a couple questions in there about the best time to spray,
Right.
is to get the garden insect spray out there because the caterpillars have been going crazy, the leaf miners have been going crazy, and that just brings all kinds of issues in. So I'm looking forward to this. Is actually going to be in our giveaway as well too, these two products. And I know you mentioned too a little bit earlier, kind of alluded to the fact that the insects can have a huge role in spreading diseases in your garden. So can you talk a little bit about that too?
Sure. And going back a little bit, we always use insecticides and fungicides. We spray those in the evening. And that's
Yes.
important because we need those to work because most of them are UV sensitive, like complete disease control. And spinosad, they're both UV sensitive. And we use herbicides in the morning because we need the plants to take them in as the weeds as they grow. So we don't want to use insecticides in the morning because the UVs will rip them apart.
Great
So,
differentiation. Connie has had that exact question. So thank you so much for clarifying that. And you've definitely taught me that this year as well.
yeah.
So what's the deal with the insects and disease? How does that work hand in hand sometimes, unfortunately?
So now what was the question? Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Insects, can they spread disease? Like how does that, how does that?
Yeah, so aphids, so any of the insects in the Homoptera group, anything that sucks the juice out of the plant, so aphids, whiteflies, scales, mealybugs, those are the worst. Not so much the chewers, but any of them that can suck the sap, because what they can do is go from plant to plant to plant. So if a plant has tobacco mosaic virus, they can actually go to another plant and affect that plant as well with tobacco mosaic virus. So it's very important to make sure you look at your plant. If they have aphids or anything like that, get rid of them because they can transmit diseases real easy.
I think that's why that's so important to have products that really work. And we've really appreciated working with you all this year because the products really work more than any others I've used. And I know I use Takedown if I want to kill something on contact, the aphids especially. That stuff works like a dream just to wipe those aphids out immediately. And then the garden insect spray with the spinosad in it. Can you talk a little bit about spinosad? And I know
Sure.
there's several different ways to say that word, spinosad. Spinosad, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but
It's
explain
funny.
a little bit about what that is. It's a real key ingredient here in the garden insect spray.
Yeah, back east they pronounce it spinosad. Out here we pronounce it spinosad. I don't know.
I know. It's all the same
So
thing.
it was found in rum vats over in the Caribbean. They were finding out that these rum vats were not being disintegrated by worms, and they couldn't figure out why. They
Wow.
found this spinosad particle, and it's not true bacteria; it's a particle of a bacteria. So what's unique about it is it's a digested enzyme or particle. And when the insect takes it in, it disrupts their digestive. So there's a number of ways to kill an insect, either by clogging their breathing pores on the side, by nerve, by pyrethrins, or by spinosad particles by digestion. This particle is small enough that it does what we call seeping. So when you look at, there's layers inside that leaf. It's amazing. Just by this leaf alone, all these layers right inside here, right here, just so many layers.
Interesting.
So we have the epidermis, and then we go to the palisade layer, which are vertical cells up and down, which is where most of the photosynthesis takes place. Then we have this cavernous area where called the spongy mesophyll, and that's where this translocated, all our translocated tissue takes place. Then we have the epidermis. Well, the top epidermis is not brick and mortar. There's gaps and there's holes. So this particle is so small, it seeps through the epidermis and then goes down through the palisade and just sits there in the spongy mesophyll. Now, most organic molecules just sit on the top, and they're UV sensitive. They're gone within a day or two. But this particle sits inside.
Interesting.
So 5 days. So chewing insects can pick up. So any of your raspers or your beetles or any caterpillar gets inside, they pick up the particle and die. And so it lasts a little bit.
Wonderful. So it's super effective. And Julie is saying that spinosad saved her garden from the Japanese beetles, which they are crazy. In fact, Jerry's over here. We've got, he's got that insect automatic paddle, Jerry, because the Japanese beetles are flying around and they're aggressive. They will literally land on my hair and get into my hair. I can't get them off. So he's out here with his electric, or what do you call it, Jerry? The little paddle. I'm sure a lot of you have them. Yes, there we go. Oh no, there it is. There it is. But the spinosad is wonderful. And I love the fact that it was discovered in rum bats. I mean, how much better can you get of a life for a little bacterium, right? So this is what I need to do in my garden. Terry was asking, is it best to spray after dark or just in the evening is
Just
fine?
an evening.
Okay, so just really after the sun has you know, is not at its peak and hitting your plants, because it's that UV damage that we're concerned about.
But it won't work on
And
the,
that's what
yeah, but it won't work on the sucking insects because they're only at the
right.
epidermis.
Okay, and that's where the takedown comes in handy. Okay, wonderful. You know what? I think it's time to do another giveaway, Jerry. We're gonna have everybody in 1 second here. We'll be doing another one. So get your fingers ready and start typing in the word tomato into the chat. And we are going to draw for another fall garden seed collection. And I want to know too, when we're done with the drawing, who all has started your fall garden already? Now, as I mentioned in the video on Saturday, it's a little hot here for you Southern gardeners. So I started a whole bunch of seedlings just particularly for that video. So you gardeners in Arizona, Texas, Southern California, Florida may want to hold off maybe another month or two. I usually start my fall garden for real in about October, mid-October, and then put it into my garden in November. But in the meantime, we got another chance here to win the fall garden seed collection. Brand new varieties in here with the tomato seed collection. Jerry, no? Okay. Okay, we'll do it in just a few moments here. We're having a few technical difficulties, so back to Clayton we go till Jerry gives me the go-ahead. How about, Clayton, what are some of the common mistakes that people might make when it comes to disease control, especially with tomatoes in their garden? How can we avoid these altogether, or is that even possible?
By not acting soon enough. That's probably the biggest.
Yes, I've done that.
Yeah, and I've seen that more and more. They'll say, "Oh, that'll just go away." Just if you see something, hit it. And some of the like chewing insects, if you see it, hit it with a spinosad. Here's the thing with spinosad: the insect a lot of time will bite it and go away and die. People go, "Well, I don't see the insect anymore." I said, "Yeah, because they're over here dying someplace else." So, you know, you'll just see you just see less of the damage.
Okay, so that's a good point. Is even if you're not seeing like those little caterpillars that I always find on my plants, unfortunately, when I uncover them, even if I'm not seeing them, I should go ahead and spray.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be hiding somewhere, but it will still help, even if I can't actually physically see the caterpillars.
Right. And the fact is, you're also going to lower the intensity of the diseases that they bring, or the vectors that they are bringing the viruses and the bacteria with them.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I think I've got my work cut out for me this evening. And Jerry's giving me the go-ahead. We're going to go ahead and do our fall garden seed collection drawing. So finger type in there, #tomato in the chat. And we'll be drawing for that in just a moment. We already have 30 entries, so thank you so much for entering. And it's going to be so exciting to actually get planting for fall. I mean, we're really enjoying our tomatoes and our cucumbers right now. I think that's our biggest crop at the moment. But it's always kind of nice to have a change in the garden once the weather cools off and get back to the greens, get back to the lettuces, the cool weather herbs like the parsley, dill, and cilantro. It's really nice to have that variety. And since a lot of these plants in here are frost tolerant, for those of you that live in cold areas, get established early and they'll have a good strong root system, and then they'll be able to take those light frosts in the early winter, and you could be growing them a whole lot longer than you think you might be able to grow in your garden. Okay, we've got 47 entries here for the Fall Garden Seed Club. Jerry, 48 now. Let's go ahead and draw 3, 2, and 1. And thank you so much, Jerry, for getting it all hooked up for us there and hooking up our viewers with our new seed collection. And the winner is, okay, Just Country Girl. Congratulations, Just Country Girl. Do make sure you email me, Callie Kim at CallieKimGardeningHome.com, and we'll get this sent out to you. So really happy for you. You'll be getting your fall garden planted here real soon. Okay, back to Clayton now. For our last few minutes of our live stream. And Clayton, you've given us so much helpful information. And do make sure our viewers here in the chat, do make sure you are typing in your questions, and we'll get as many as we can answered before the live stream ends, or before we do our giveaway. Actually, we'll be doing that in just a few moments. So Clayton, do you have any more diseased plants in your office there, or any other plants that we can learn from, the diseases that you've infected them with?
Well, right now, I just moved over to my other side of my office, and I got a dissecting scope all set up.
Interesting.
And right now I'm looking at some thrips and some aphids and some other things right on my
goodness.
And on my dissecting scope. And
what in the world is a dissecting scope?
So a dissecting scope is just I can bring in it's hooked up to my computer, but right now it's sitting over here. And it's got a big screen on it over everything, and I can use different lenses. And I use this when I go out and teach kids in the area. We go to the schools around here, and I take plants in, and talk to the high school ag departments, other things around here.
So it's kind of like a microscope, so you can actually see the insects.
Oh yeah, I got a big screen on here, 7-inch screen.
Very
and I can control it with a remote control and everything. And people will send stuff in and said, what is this issue? And I solve it.
That's wonderful, Clayton. All the technology that you there at Monterey use to bring us, great products to use in our gardens that are very, very effective. It's really, really impressive. So thank you so much for everything that you put into that there for us. Really appreciate it. Here's a great question from Cece, the transplanted gardener. Will spinosad work for blister beetles? New pest for me this year. They're gross and I'm completely over them. Yes, okay, I have felt that way many a time about a pest.
Blister beetle will have to be more on contact because they're more living in the soil, or more living on organic matter than anything else. So you can use something like Takedown if you see them, spinosad, but they have to be more on contact.
Okay, so the Takedown would be the product for that, and you can grab that, CC, over at MontereyLawnGarden.com. And you can use the code CallieKim10. Monterey's generously gives a 10% discount site-wide to our viewers. We do have a super chat here from Josh Hensley. How you doing, Josh? Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Your comment went right to the top here. And a question here from Josh. Do either of you have a place where we can post or send pictures for Tomato Help, Facebook or otherwise? And Clayton, I know you've generously offered to help our viewers with their issues. Is it best to post it on your Facebook page, or what's the best way to go about that?
They can send to Monterey.co, and I'll send you the link to that.
Okay, Monterey.co, and then you go on there and can help them diagnose their issues. So wonderful. I really appreciate that. We need all the help we can get in our gardens, and we love it that you're willing to come in and share your expertise with us. Okay, so a couple things here is, are there any future trends coming down the path here that you could maybe clue us in on, or give us a little sneak peek when it comes to disease prevention? Or is that something that you can't quite share yet?
We are working on a couple things. I got to keep hush a little bit on them.
Sure. Yeah, I understand.
But
But there
there are
are
some,
things coming, right?
there are things coming. Yes.
Okay, exciting. So we will definitely stay tuned for that. And let's see, I think maybe we'll take a few questions and answers for our viewers now, or questions and answers from you. Here's a great question from Janet. Haven't we all dealt with this, Janet? I feel ya. What to use on aphids on my cucumbers?
Takedown's the best, honestly. It's when
I can
knocking them
totally
right down.
attest to that. It's called takedown for a reason. It will take them out like that, and they're gone. They're literally gone. I've never seen anything work like that before. Okay, question from Nicole, one of our longtime viewers. How to get grasshoppers out of your garden?
It's not going to be organic, but the best one to use is a pyrethroid. And, because they're in the Orthoptera group. And the problem is they're just mobile. And so,
Yes.
there's a whole group of pyrethroids, like 100 of them, and most of them you cannot use on vegetables at all. Now, there's a group of about 4 or 5 of them you can. We're coming out with one this fall that you can. And that'll
Okay.
be used real shortly.
So I'm sure you'll keep us informed on that. We'll
Yes.
pass that on to our viewers. That's wonderful. Terry's got a great question here. I just ran into a lot of these over the weekend, Terry. Which product will help with the little green worms? I'm thinking maybe the cabbage loopers is what you're talking about there. Should I put something in the soil or on the plant itself?
Spinosad.
Spinosad, which would be the
Garden insect
spray. Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, this does come the concentrate, which you can put in a sprayer, or it comes in a ready to use spray bottle, which is super handy to grab and just spray on those nasty little worms as soon as you see them. So super, super convenient to use this as well. Another question here from Ramona. What type of fertilizer should I use on my tomatoes? I don't have many tomatoes. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Ramona. So sad. And I know you've had a lot of heat there too, Ramona. Clayton, is there anything that you could suggest for her?
Make sure you keep the nitrogen down below 10. That's always important on tomatoes. Make sure your phosphorus and potassium are right in the same range. I like the fact, I don't like the fact that there's one for tomatoes, there's one for trees. I look at the numbers. That's all I care about.
Yes.
I like the fact that they have mycorrhizas in them. So make sure they have beneficial fungi in there. But, just make sure it's below a 10. Make sure you have 3 different forms of nitrogen and ammoniacal nitrate and urea form. That's important because one just doesn't work by itself. But make sure you have a good, you have phosphorus and potassium in there as well. Just a good balanced fertilizer.
So look on the back of the bag to find those numbers. And
Right.
I think it's always good if you use a granular as well as a water soluble fertilizer.
Oh,
so the plants can
absolutely.
immediately uptake it and then use it over time, have the nutrients available over time as well. Here's a great question from Mima's Classroom. Is Takedown organic?
Yes.
And maybe Clayton, could you please explain a little bit about your labels? I love your labeling system here on
Sure.
your products.
Our green label's organic, and then our brown label's inorganic. Now, it doesn't mean brown is really bad. We have a great product called our Garden Phos, which is phosphoric acid, potassium salts that worked really good on our root rots. And even though our most organic people in the Bay Area or our world people will use it because it just burns the fungus out, phosphoric acids and potassium salts. So it's benign as possible. So, but our green label is organic.
Okay, and Jerry, if you could pop me on the screen there, I want to show. No, okay. The green label. If you look on the bottle of the garden insect spray, it's going to be green, which is organic, and also the takedown or disease control is organic. So you can look on their website and easily figure that out as you're looking at their labels. Okay, question here from Becky. Does soaking the soil with the bug sprays kill beneficial insects? And I have had a lot of questions about that, of how these products affect the beneficials.
If it's going to kill an insect, it's going to kill an insect. The chemical doesn't know whether it's a beneficial or a non-beneficial. So just be careful.
So spray in the mornings, the evenings when the
spray in the
insects
evening.
are
The
not
beneficials
active.
generally are not out in the evening. They're probably just somewhere else in the ground or hiding, but they're out in the daytime attacking the insect. So spray in the evening.
Okay. Spray in the evening, always good advice. And the beneficials aren't active and you're not going to be dealing with the UV damage to your plants. Okay, another question from Becky. If all I have to amend my soil is broken down leaves, will my soil be lacking any necessary nutrients?
So the answer is yes. The only one you'll really be lacking is your nitrogen. The other ones will break down potassium and phosphorus, but you still have to add calcium to the soil and some of your micronutrients as well. But your phosphorus and potassium will come. Some will come from the leaves.
Okay, wonderful. And a really simple nitrogen fertilizer has nitrogen in it that's very inexpensive is the fish fertilizer. You can find it at
Yes.
most garden centers, and it's water soluble. I think it's maybe, I don't know, probably $10, maybe under, for a bottle of concentrate, which you can add to water, and it goes a long, long way. So I really suggest that as well. I've used it for years, and it works very well. So Jerry, how are we doing over there? Are we ready for our giveaway? We good with that? Okay, all right. So we're going to roll our grand prize giveaway. And what the grand prize is, are you able to put me on the screen, Jerry, or no?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I thought you were. I know we've had a few technical difficulties there in the control room today, but what we're going to do, Clayton, we so appreciate you offering, whoops, I got to turn these bottles around here, our viewers a chance to win some of your wonderful products today. And what they're going to win, 2 lucky viewers will win a concentrate of the garden insect spray, as well as a concentrate of the complete disease control. And this stuff goes a long ways. So this will be something that you'll be able to use in your garden for this season, for the fall, and even into next year. So our hashtag again is tomato. Oh yes, and the sprayer, which I actually just got mine in the mail to try out. So I cannot wait. So you can put these as a concentrate in that handy dandy sprayer. Is that on your website yet, Clayton? I wasn't sure if I was supposed to mention it yet.
I'll be there at the office almost all day tomorrow.
Okay, wonderful. So let's go ahead and get your tomato hashtag in the chat there for the drawing, and Monterey will be sending you out these 2 beautiful products. And here we go. We have our entries. We have 48 entries. So 55, wow, it's popping up fast. And believe me, I've used these in my garden all season long and absolutely loving what I'm seeing so far. And they are super, super effective. We've got 60 entries here. So Jerry, we're going to go ahead and draw in 3, 2, and 1. Take it away. And good luck, you guys. Let's see who our winner is. And do make sure you email me again. This is for U.S. residents. Callie Kim at CallieKimGardenandHome.com. And Lorraine, very happy for you, Lorraine. I know you're going to really enjoy using these in your garden. Congratulations. These really do work. And if you haven't used them yet, start using them with your fall garden. And we're going to go ahead and draw for one more winner, Jerry. So if you haven't had a chance yet, pop that tomato hashtag in there real quick. And we're going to go ahead and draw again in 3, 2, and 1. Wow, it's always kind of nerve-wracking to see your name scrolling by, and I know you're all crossing your fingers out there. And our winner is Lori G. Congratulations, Lori. Very happy for you. Monterey will get those sent out to you very soon, and I know you're going to really enjoy using them in your garden. So Clayton, we are really grateful for all the wonderful expertise that you've given us, and also that you've offered that email out there for people to send in their questions. So I'll put that in the link to this video description. When it uploads, all of our viewers will have that available to them. So Clayton, are you going to go and bring in any more pests or diseases into your house for today to help us out? Or are you just going to spray them and take care of them all? A couple new ones. Interesting. Okay, well, we can't wait to hear more about the new and exciting products you have coming up. And thanks again for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Wonderful. And thank you so much, too, to all of our viewers. Do make sure you go back and watch our video we posted over the weekend. You got to get these vegetables planted now. So you're going to have a fall garden. Before you know it, fall will be here. So get those seedlings planted and head to our website to grab our newly updated fall garden seed collection. And make sure you use the code Fall Garden so you get your discount. Okay, thanks to Clayton and everyone else. A lot of our viewers are saying thank you. We really appreciate it, and stay cool. We will see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.